Hi, everybody. Today I'm going to start by talking to you about the book Number the Stars by Lois Lowry, and that connects to Anne Frank, Diary of a Young Girl. Diary of a Young Girl is included in most middle school curriculums, and Number the Stars is a great way to pair fiction with nonfiction. Number the Stars is fictional, however, some of the events and details in the book are based on real events that a friend of Lois Lowry's actually lived through during the Nazi occupation of Denmark during World War II. I had never read the book, and it's about a young girl, Anne Marie Johansson, who lives in Denmark. She's Christian. Her best friend, Ellen Rosen, is Jewish, and the families get word that the Nazi soldiers are going to begin rounding up the Jewish citizens in their city of Copenhagen, and Anne Marie's family is instrumental in saving the Rosen family and others from being transported. And that's just like Miep Gijs in Anne Frank. Let's see here. I would use journal writing to connect to the texts and build background knowledge about World War II and the human condition during World War II. Talking points are World War II, the Holocaust, religious persecution, and could definitely be taught cross-curricularly with social studies. Another title that I've read for older kids that you could use with Anne Frank is The Kite Runner, but definitely that one would need to be for older kids. Other talking points would be What Would You Do?, where we could talk about ethics, integrity, cruelty, and courage. And a quote from Number the Stars that can connect to Anne Frank can be found on page 118 and 119 in Number the Stars. Anne Marie needs to bring a package to her uncle that has a handkerchief that has rabbit blood as well as cocaine on it. And what it does is when the sniffing dogs come, which the soldiers used to hunt out Jewish people that were being hidden, she needs to bring this package to her uncle. And she said she's on her way from her uncle's house to his boat. One of the members that was supposed to be carrying it dropped it, and Anne Marie's responsible to deliver this so that the people don't get found on his boat. And Nazi soldiers actually stop her on her way, and she says to her uncle, "Mama sent your lunch," she said, her voice quavering, "but soldiers stopped me and they took your bread." She didn't dare to tell him more. Henrik glanced quickly into the basket. She could see a look of relief on his face and knew that it was because he saw that the packet was there, even though it was torn open. "Thank you," he said, and the relief was evident in his voice. Anne Marie looked quickly around the familiar small boat. She could see down the passageway into the empty cabin. There was no sign of the Rosens or the others. Uncle Henrik followed her eyes and her puzzled look. "All is well," he said softly. "Don't worry. Everything is all right." "I wasn't sure," he said, "but now," he eyed the basket in his hand, "because of you, Anne Marie, everything is all right." So she delivered the handkerchief that had the rabbit blood and the cocaine on it, which would numb the senses of the sniffing dogs. And the second book that I read, also by Lois Lowry, is The Giver. I had never read The Giver before, and I would connect that with The Great Gatsby, which is one of my favorite titles. I would use The Giver as a springboard for teaching Gatsby, discuss society, what would cause people to want a collective society where there's no individuals, no feelings, no memories. The Giver's about a boy, Jonas, who upon his 12th birthday is named the receiver, the holder of all the memories, which he gets from the Giver. And once Jonas experiences love, pain, music, he decides he can no longer be part of a society that releases, or actually that kills, old or troubled infants or people who make or break the rules of the society. And a quote that I have from The Giver that connects to Gatsby can be found on page 193 of The Giver. says the worst part of holding the memories is not the pain, it's the loneliness of it. Memories need to be shared. And Jonas says that. And that connects to Jay Gadsby, who is lonely because he's living in the past with his memories of loving Daisy. He loses Daisy because Daisy chooses money over love. Stays with Tom Buchanan, who she doesn't love, but who is very wealthy. And this could be a great springboard for teaching Gadsby, where we talk about society, its positives, its flaws, talk about, collective society versus what society was like in the 1920s, the Roaring Twenties, the American dream versus communal living, extravagance versus control, and also, that Gadsby has a hierarchy based on wealth within its society, and in The Giver, everyone is the same. So, there is no social class. I would teach Gadsby in class and use The Giver as an independent read to be discussed in small groups. Discussions would include morals, freedom, society, government, rules, the American dream versus communal living. And since both of those titles also have films associated with them, you can use that to enhance comprehension as well as establish what details were changed from the book to the film. For both titles, Number of the Stars and The Giver, we could use technology to have the kids respond, book trailers, write reviews, book talks, develop a utopian society. And they could share those activities as group work. I also thought maybe having the kids act out a scene from one of the novels would be fun for them to do. They could make little movies. And then I watched the film Percy Jackson and the Sea of Monsters, which is based on the Percy Jackson series by Rick Riordan. And that was an action-packed adventure with mythology mixed in. And really enjoyed it. The kids, I've interviewed a couple kids for the project that we have to do, and the two people that I've interviewed so far, both girls, said Rick Riordan is their favorite author. And so I think that if you have reluctant readers, showing them the movie first, if they don't want to read the books, could be a way that you could maybe entice them to actually read the titles. Okay, so that's all I have for this week, and I'll talk to you next week. Bye.